Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into a pressing issue that's making headlines around the world. Buckle up, folks, because we're about to talk about immigration. Specifically, we're looking at the unsettling trend of several countries deciding to expel Malaysian immigrants in 2025. Yes, you heard that right. Let's take a closer look at these nations and dissect their reasons for these decisions. Our first stop on this whirlwind tour of questionable immigration policies brings us to Country A. Now, Country A has always prided itself on being a land of opportunity, but lately, it seems their definition of opportunity involves significantly fewer Malaysians. The official line is that the expulsion is purely for economic reasons. They're facing a downturn, unemployment is up, and someone needs to be blamed. Of course, they neglect to mention that their economic woes have been brewing for years. It's almost as if complex socioeconomic problems can't be solved by simply rounding up a group of people and shipping them off. But hey, who needs nuanced solutions when you have good old-fashioned xenophobia, right? Next up we have Country B, a nation that seems to have missed the memo that walls are so last century. While the rest of the world is moving towards openness and collaboration, Country B is doubling down on isolation. They've decided to tackle their Malaysian immigrant problem with the subtlety of a sledgehammer. Instead of finding innovative solutions, they're resorting to brute force. Their solution? New immigration laws, so restrictive they make even the most ardent authoritarian blush. These laws are not just about control, they're about creating an environment of fear and exclusion. We're talking about the kind of laws that would make it easier to legally change your name to Batman than it would be for a Malaysian to get a work visa. The bureaucracy is so tangled it's almost comical. Country B claims these new laws are about protecting their borders and preserving their national identity. They argue that these measures are necessary for the safety and security of their citizens. But let's be real, this has less to do with national security and more to do with national insecurity. It's a reactionary move driven by fear rather than facts. It's almost as if they're afraid that exposure to different cultures might actually improve their own. Embracing diversity could lead to a richer, more vibrant society, but Country B seems determined to shut the door on that possibility. And now, for our next act of international outrage, we turn to Country C, a nation that has seemingly mistaken correlation for causation. There was an incident involving a Malaysian national. Without getting bogged down in the specifics, let's just say it wasn't great. It was the kind of incident that makes headlines and sparks outrage. Country C saw their chance to capitalize on fear and grabbed it with both hands. Suddenly, this one isolated incident became representative of an entire nationality. Never mind that statistically, Malaysians are no more likely to commit crimes than any other demographic. So what's the solution? Expel all the Malaysians, of course. Let's shift our focus now to Country D, a nation that's decided to treat Malaysian immigrants like unwanted house guests. For years, Malaysian immigrants have been living in Country D, building lives, raising families, contributing to the economy. But now, they're being told to pack up and leave. And for what? Country D is trying to score some political points on the international stage. They're using Malaysian immigrants as bargaining chips, hoping to leverage their expulsion for trade deals and alliances. It's a cynical display of realpolitik where human lives are treated like commodities. Because let's be clear, these aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. These are real people with hopes, dreams, and families. Ah, Country E, a land where the politicians are never short of opinions. They seem to have an endless supply of words, always ready to share their thoughts on any given topic, no matter how controversial or mundane, especially about Malaysian immigrants. And boy, have they been vocal about this whole expulsion business. It's as if they've found a new favorite topic to rally around, stirring up emotions and debates across the nation. We're talking speeches, press conferences, tweets that could make a 14-year-old's emo poetry seem emotionally stable. The sheer volume of their output is staggering, and the content, well, let's just say it's not always the most coherent. But amidst the usual bluster, there have been a few moments of coherence. Occasionally, a politician manages to string together a sentence that actually makes sense, offering a glimpse of rational thought. The gist of it seems to be that Country E believes Malaysian immigrants are a threat to their national security. This narrative has been pushed hard, with claims that these immigrants pose various risks to the country's stability. Now before you ask, Based on what evidence? Let me stop you right there. Evidence, it seems, is not a priority. The politicians prefer to rely on rhetoric and fear-mongering rather than hard facts. Because apparently, evidence is a bit like a decent public healthcare system, something they'd rather not be bothered with. The lack of concrete data doesn't seem to deter them from making sweeping statements. Instead, they've resorted to vague pronouncements about outside agitators and protecting their way of life. These broad, often ambiguous claims serve to rally their base, even if they lack substance. Amidst this whole debacle, you might be wondering, where's Malaysia in all of this? Well, they are not happy. The Malaysian government has been using words like unacceptable, appalling, and a blatant violation of international law. They've been busy lodging official protests, recalling ambassadors, and making it clear that they will not stand idly by. It's the kind of diplomatic dressing down that would make even the most seasoned diplomat break a sweat. But it's not just about diplomacy. The Malaysian government is also taking steps to support its citizens abroad, providing financial assistance, legal aid, and even chartering flights to bring them home. Because here's the thing. Malaysia understands that people matter. Word on the street, or rather word in the halls of the United Nations, is that the international community is not exactly thrilled with this whole Malaysian expulsion business. The corridors are buzzing with discussions, and the air is thick with tension as diplomats from various countries weigh in on the situation. We're talking condemnations, sanctions, strongly worded letters, all the diplomatic tools they have at their disposal. These measures are being debated and implemented with a sense of urgency that underscores the gravity of the situation. Human rights organizations have been particularly vocal, accusing these countries of everything from xenophobia to outright human rights violations. Their voices are growing louder and their protests are becoming more frequent and more intense. They're not mincing words, and they're certainly not letting these countries off the hook. Press conferences are being held, and activists are making sure their message is heard loud and clear. Even countries that typically steer clear of criticizing other nations' internal affairs are raising eyebrows. The sheer scale and audacity of the expulsions have forced them to take a stand. It seems like the sheer audacity of expelling thousands of people based on nothing more than their nationality has struck a nerve. The international community is grappling with the implications of such actions, because this isn't just a Malaysian problem, this is a global issue. The world is watching, and the response will set a precedent for how such situations are handled in the future. The ripple effect of these expulsions is already being felt far beyond the borders of the countries involved. Take Country H, for example. They're not expelling Malaysians, at least not yet. But their economy is deeply intertwined with Malaysia's, and the sudden loss of trade, investment, and skilled labor is hitting them hard. It's like a game of economic Jenga, where one ill-advised move can bring the whole tower crashing down. Because here's the thing. In a globalized world, you can't just isolate one country's problems. What happens in one part of the world inevitably affects the rest of us. While governments may be busy playing political chess with the lives of Malaysian immigrants, the people of Country Y are not content to sit on the sidelines. They're taking to the streets, raising their voices in protest, and demanding justice for their Malaysian friends, neighbors, and colleagues. From peaceful demonstrations to acts of civil disobedience, they're making it very clear that they will not tolerate discrimination and xenophobia in their midst. Because here's the thing, solidarity knows no borders. It transcends nationality, ethnicity, and religion. It's the recognition that we are all interconnected, that an injustice to one is an injustice to all, and in a world where division and hatred seem to be on the rise, it's a message that we desperately need to hear. So, where do we go from here? What does the future hold for the Malaysian diaspora caught in this geopolitical storm? The situation is complex, constantly evolving, and frankly, more than a little depressing. But amidst the uncertainty, one thing is clear. The fight for justice is far from over. The Malaysian government is continuing to advocate for its citizens, international pressure is mounting, and people around the world are raising their voices in solidarity. Because when we stand together, shoulder to shoulder, we are a force to be reckoned with. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on global news and events. And while you're at it, why not share this video with your friends, family, your local government representative? Anyone who needs a little wake-up call about the importance of empathy, compassion, and basic human decency? Let us know in the comments what you think about these developments and how they might affect the future of international relations. Because let's face it, this isn't just about Malaysia. This is about who we are as a global community. Let's make the right choice.